University of Pikeville in public affairs. I lead the public relations team here. I'm also a mom of 4 young daughters, 2 sets of twins who are at the present time 4 and 6 years old. And I have a husband, been married for 11 years. So I'm living the life of a working mother and wife currently. And those are my 2 biggest roles at the moment.
So as a kid, I suspect you didn't say, I want to be a director of PR and public relations someday. As a kid, what did you want to do?
So as a kid, if we're just being completely honest and transparent here, I wanted to do 2 things. I wanted to be a physician and I wanted to be a country music singer. As a young girl, I loved country music and I loved to perform, and something happened over time and I kind of clammed up and got a little bit shy. And I'm not saying I was a good singer or that I stood a shot, but I don't know, that's just, every kid says kind of off the wall things that they want to be when they grow up, and those were the 2 things I recall saying pretty consistently that I wanted to do.
So today, and maybe this is going to come back to what you just shared, but what's the dream job for you?
The dream job for me, I said to a very close friend the other day that my current job here at the university is the most satisfied I've ever been in my career, and I've been in the workforce for almost 20 years now, and I'm the most content and just happy and motivated that I've ever been in any job I've ever had. So like right now, I feel like I am in my dream job, truly. I've worked in public relations ever since I've been out of college. I spent a lot of time working in public relations in the healthcare arena locally here in Pikeville. And I loved that because I love what healthcare is about. It's about helping people get better. And so any chance to promote an organization that's helping people get better is very rewarding. So, I transitioned into higher education here a couple of years ago, which also has a very important mission to educate and inspire and to grow leaders. And so I believe in that mission here at UPike and in higher ed and in what that industry is what it's about. And so I feel very fulfilled here. And so I do feel like I'm living my dream job at the moment.
So did anything in life happen to spur you in this direction?
Yeah, so my childhood ambitions were a little, unique or off the wall. But as I, went through high school, I didn't really, no profession really stood out to me. I didn't feel a call in a certain way going into college. I just knew that I needed to go to college because I needed to have that education to get a good job. And pretty driven, motivated, self-motivated person, so I knew I'd make that work. But then when I got to college and I kind of got my basic classes out of the way, there was the big question mark, how am I going to spend the rest of the last 2 years? What am I going to do? And I really wrestled with that. And at the institution that I was at, they offered a career counseling 1-hour credit course. I believe it was half a semester, and I enrolled in that and took some aptitude tests and went through some exercises to figure out what am I good at and what am I interested in. And there was a list of career fields that I might be suited for, and I kind of ciphered through those, and public relations and marketing stood out to me. And I thought, I do love communicating, and I love working with people, and I love promoting, positive things and sales a bit too. I've worked in retail some in college. And so, I mean, long story short, I kind of had to pick, do I want to study marketing? Do I want to study public relations? They were two different colleges, two different curriculums. I chose to go into marketing because I liked the business background. And so I have a bachelor's degree in marketing, and I have just recently completed a master's degree in business as well here at UPike. So I've always been fortunate to work in PR and marketing, like I said, since I've been out of college. That's how I've spent my career. Sometimes that doesn't happen for business majors. You know, there's just a variety of things you can do. You got to go to work in a bank, a lot of different things I ultimately could have ended up doing. But I was blessed to start out as a 22-year-old in the field that I studied and grew to love, and figured out I did make the right decision. As I was completing my coursework in undergrad, when I started those marketing courses and things, and studying business, I loved it, and I knew I'd make the right choice for myself. So that's kind of how I came to be in PR and marketing, and have worked a little bit in recruiting as well, recruiting physicians to the area. I did some of that in the healthcare sector as well, which is sales and marketing. In a lot of regards, it's marketing. It was marketing our hospital and our town, and now I get to market this great university to students and parents and alumni and donors and the community at large, and just communicate all the awesome, exciting things that are happening here and the growth that UPike's experiencing. It's awesome to be part of that.
So how would you define your call then, if we were to ask you to put it into a sentence? What is your call?
Well, I guess to summarize that, I would say that my call, whether I've really stopped to think about it or not, but since you asked the question, I've not thought about it in that way. But to put it in sentence form, I'd say that my call is to communicate. My call is to hopefully better the lives of others by letting them know of the valuable resources that are available to them. So I did that. I've done that, like I said, in healthcare and now in higher education. So I hadn't really stopped to think about it, but I guess that's the journey my life has taken. I guess that has been my call.
So would you say then today that your job aligns with that call?
I think it does. Yeah, I think it does.
So maybe that class was more helpful than you realized.
I think it was. I really think it. I think it was. I think that having that resource available to me, and like carving time out of my life to think about it. So half a semester, I made a commitment. I have to think about my path in life. What am I good at, and what am I interested in? And I think you have to be intentional about that when you're a little confused, or you don't really have that strong, that instinct that I want to be a doctor and take care of people, or I want to be a teacher and train young minds and educate young minds. I think the helping professions, I think a lot of times people in those professions, they know, they feel that at an early age, and not all of us have that innate just from, with the time you're a child. I know this is what I want to do, and I see so many examples of people that did know that at an early age, and they did make that happen, and they're happy, or sometimes maybe they find out, otherwise. But I think for those of us who don't feel that strong call, if you're intentional about taking time out of your life, especially during college, when you have that opportunity and you have all of these different courses that you can take that you might be interested in, and to try to figure out what your place is. College is just the best, perfect storm to do that in. And if you take time out to intentionally think about your life, what you're good at, what you're most interested in, that there's value in doing that to figure out your call. And it could happen through other opportunities too. at UPike through a service opportunity. I mean, again, call isn't always related to profession. We all have lives outside of our jobs, and sometimes that's where our true passion lies. Sometimes we need to work and contribute to society, but sometimes it's how we spend our time outside of our 40-hour work week is where a lot of people's passions lie as well.
So you've, either recruiting docs to the community, telling the story of a student or a professor here, you've been helping other people find their thing, thrive, live. But for you, who's been most influential in helping you know this call or this path?
That's a great question. I've thought some about that, and I can't say that there was a family member or even a close friend that did that for me. I think my family and my core of people always believed in me, and that whatever I set my mind to do, they believed I could make that happen, and they trusted my judgment to figure that out. And there were times that I would have loved somebody to just say, "You're great at this, go do that." I didn't really get that when I was younger, but I will say that in college, I had a few professors in some of my smaller class sizes that they conveyed to me that my writing really stood out, that my ability to write would take me places, or that I would be able to use that somehow in life, and I have. I mean, writing is a huge part of what I do and have done throughout my career. So I would say that there was confidence gained in some of that feedback from some of my professors in college. Probably, those interactions stand out more than others. But it wasn't feedback of you'd be a great director of public relations one day. It wasn't that. It was just some feedback, some of my specific skills and strengths that could be wrapped up into a future career. But I do remember a couple of professors that stood out and believed in me, and obviously some of my skills stood out to me as well.
So if someone's watching this and they said, "I actually want to be a director of public relations someday," what did you do to align yourself for this career path?
Well, I think that you really do have to enjoy interacting with people. You certainly need to be focused on, external relations and then the different dynamics somewhat of human interaction and human behavior, and you're working with the public, and if you're working for an organization or you're representing an organization, you have to keep in mind how that organization fits within the context of the community and on a larger scale. And so I think you have to enjoy interacting with people, like to communicate, be a good communicator verbally and in written word as well, and you have to have I believe you have to have an authentic belief in the organization that you're working with, or the product that you're promoting, whatever that is. If you don't really believe in what you're selling and marketing, that will come across, and I don't believe that you'll be effective if you're not in the right fit for you. So I just think someone who's interested in PR marketing, just get experience with in sales, experience in different, maybe a nonprofit versus corporate, get some experience in different sectors. Writing, make sure, that writing skills are strong and continue to grow and develop. And then, how do you integrate? So if you have a message to communicate, how many different ways can you communicate that message, and in what arenas? So we always talk about, repurposing. So what's your message, and how are you going to get it out to the right audience at the right time in the right way? And I think therein lies a challenge for PR and marketing professionals. And it's social media, everything's changing, and it will be completely different as new grads enter PR and marketing 5 or 10 years from now. I mean, things will look different. So I think with any profession, it's like keeping up with what's going on with the times and with technology too.
So you've probably had life obstacles and challenges along the way.
Mm-hmm.
How have you navigated them to keep living out this call?
Well, so I think, when I entered into college, I didn't have a savings to pay for college, so there was obstacle number one to become educated, to get a job in my calling. So took out student loans like so many students do, and paid those off, and that was such a great feeling the day I wrote that last check. So just persevered, I mean, times get tough sometimes. Resources are tight, be it financial or time to do the things you want and need to do. But I think even just recently completing graduate school with a family at home, 4 kids and a husband, and I wanted that for myself. I wanted that. That was a 2-year commitment. And so to overcome that was a lack of time kind of to do my coursework and do the things I needed to do, because I had a lot of other responsibilities, but it was important to me. So I carved out time, and maybe that meant waking up at 4 a.m. to get started on homework before going to work, or whatever that means. I guess to overcome any challenge, be it a constraint of resources, time, or someone not believing you can do it, you gotta believe that you can, and you gotta want it, and you will find a way to accomplish your goals.
So if the 18 or 19-year-old version of yourself walks into this office and says, I just don't have one clear path.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what I want to do or what I'm called to do. What advice would you have for them?
I would just advise them to think about how they spend the majority of their time. I mean, we all have obligations. That, if it's an 18-year-old that's just entered into college, yes, you have to be in class so many hours a week. But what classes do you enjoy the most during the week? What do you do when you're not in class? What do you read about when you're not in class? So I think how you spend your time, think about what interests you. I think that those are good indicators of what's important to you in your life and the things that you're interested in and that you might be good at. That's what I would encourage, and to be intentional about carving out time to think about those things. Life is busy, and we're more than likely not going to get hit over the head with an aha moment that happens out of nowhere that, oh my God, I should be an optometrist. If there isn't a strong call that's already there, and you're not already working towards something, and I think a lot of people fit into that category, probably more than not fit into that category of the uncalled. So for those people, just take time out to think about what interests you, what are your passions, and what classes are you taking that are cool? What are you reading about? Are you an athlete? Maybe there's some leadership skills that you're building there through your work with your team, or maybe you're involved in some student organizations that have opened up doors for you, or you've been in an internship that you're like, oh my God, I kind of like working at the bank, whatever that is, or if it's a service opportunity through with the chaplain. Gosh, just sit and reflect and think and take some time to think about those things that excite you. And I would also encourage to not so much think about it in terms of what kind of lifestyle can a profession offer me. It's tempting to do, and you know, we all need resources to survive, but I think making decisions based on income only, or yeah, I can make this amount of money and I only have to work this number of hours a week, and that can be kind of tricky and kind of maybe misleading too, if those are criteria for making decisions about call. That's not really what call is. Call is what do you love? What do you love that you can also get paid for, but not look at it in terms of what can this profession offer me?